Good evening, and good evening. We are back. It is Wednesday night. It's a little after 9:30. We had to push back tonight, but we are here. It's Wednesday night, and it's time for PolyTalk with Regal Love. I am Eddie.
Tyra. Latonya.
And together we are Regal Love, a married, functioning black triad who are currently residing in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We come live every week to try to shed some light on different perspectives of polyamorous lifestyle. We do have a wonderful selection of people that we've run into over our public journey, and I definitely want to thank some of these people for being so supportive and openly supportive to what we're trying to create and what we're trying to do here. So I definitely want to give personal thanks to everybody who's been sending the inboxes and the text messages and the calls for the congratulations and all of that, and we really appreciate each and every one of you guys for it.
Absolutely.
Tonight I have a few talking points I want to get to, but as always, we are more than anything, we're here to field questions to help. That's the long and short of why we're here. We are here to help. I have had almost 30 years as poly/swinger lifestyle encompassing non-monogamy. I've had 30 years experience. So if I personally have not been through a thing, I know someone who has been through a thing. So I believe I am qualified enough to answer pretty much any question that might come down the pike. So please feel free. But for the sake of our live here, we do tend to stay away from sexual conversations. And it is not to say that we are shy about sex, but what it is to say is we don't need to call as much attention to sex, because as it's clearly understood, sex is happening. So there's no need to make that as much of a priority. So once again, if you guys have any questions that you have been, kind of wrestling with, trying to figure out how to get over the hump on a thing or whatever it may be, please feel free to drop those in the comment questions. Tyra is kind of fielding questions tonight. Tonya is here to give her perspective from her, to give her insight from her perspective, and me, I'm just I'm the face out front, so I'm just going to go ahead and be the face out front. I'm kind of peeking. I see some usual suspects and some new faces that that we personally hope to get better acquainted with. I seen our brother Remo on there. That's one of our in-laws. He's in the house. I seen you. Ginger Spice. I really enjoyed your live yesterday, lady. We sat and we watched. I think we watched the majority of it. I'm sure we didn't catch every word, but we did watch the majority of it, and you brought a real strong perspective. We really appreciate you for it. Thank you. I want to get into a few things. Again, I do have a few talking points I want to touch on. And this week, I do it often enough because it's my perspective. So I am more talking to the gentlemen more than I am ever talking to the ladies. I only speak with the ladies for them to verify if what I'm saying is correct. And if I'm wrong, please, by any means necessary, correct me. I would rather try to help a brother than to misinform a brother. And ladies, we definitely need your help to be able to do such things. So again, I really wanted to talk about this week. I want to talk to the guys. We are miseducated about polyamory. We the tools that we're given to operate with aren't the right tools. Most men understand what I mean by that. We can make it work, force it to do a semblance of working, but it's just patchwork. It's not repair. It's just patchwork. So what I want to do, at least for a portion of every segment from here into the foreseeable future, I definitely want to dedicate to the guys. Ladies, once again, absolutely no disrespect to you, but I cannot speak for y'all from y'all perspective. This is why we do welcome the questions and everything, so there can be answers given. But for now, I definitely want to speak with the gentlemen who are at the very least attempting to put a polydynamic together. I've been watching and paying attention to the lives that went out in Black Poly Nation yesterday. Shout out to everybody who put a live out yesterday. You guys really carried the ball. Look real good on you too. But I've noticed that one of the most common themes is infidelity, which of course it's always a underlying concern for those who don't practice proper polyamory principle. I'm trying to break myself out of the habit of just saying poly, so you guys are gonna have to deal with me on that part. Polyamory, as far as I've been educated, is the practice of loving multiple people. It's simple in definition, and in all actuality, it's even simpler indeed. But people complicate it by putting their personal identifying markers on it. For us, the philosophy that I understand and the philosophy that I introduced to both of them is that love is love, and it isn't predicated on a sexual act. It's not about you being physically in tune with a person. If your energy and your spirit can connect to a person, then why not, at the very least, invest some energy into exploring to see what that can become. Not everything is meant to be a sexual connection. Some connections are purely emotional, and it's just that wonderful joy that you get when you connect to that person, that you just enjoy their energy. I'm sure every one of you out there has run into somebody that just felt good. You couldn't quantify it to say that you wanted this person, but it was more along the facts of a part of you directly connected and related to a part of them, and it felt natural. This is the connection I'm speaking on. So understand the base principle that we try to operate out of is embracing and identifying and enhancing, expanding, allowing that connection to grow. I did say we're going to talk about infidelity, so let me get into that, but I felt it was necessary for me to put that point out because it's going to tie back together. The infidelity is when, my definition of infidelity is when you deny me the information to your intention. That's my definition to infidelity. You making a choice for yourself to do this with another person. I have absolutely no right to deny you that, because I am not in control of anybody. That is something that, gentlemen, we are really going to have to get a firm grip on. We don't run anyone else's life. So the sooner we get that part, the easier it'll be to transition into a more fluid way of thinking. Us as men, we tend to be more stern as to the way we express ourselves. But in my own attempts, I'm trying to help everybody kind of look at things in a different way. But let me get to the point. Infidelity. Infidelity is one of those things that most people don't even have a real excuse for. They allow themselves to succumb to their base desires, and they did whatever it is they did. And then they denied their partner the truth of their actions. Now, I made mention of this a month or so ago, about how most women can really deal with the idea of their mate stepping out, doing something else, as long as they don't try to make them look foolish about it. Don't say you didn't do it and you did do it and her friend seen you. So, you know what I'm saying? That's very irresponsible. So I want to take this, and it's a conversation I've been having a lot here lately. So understand this is a theory that I'm working through as I'm speaking it. I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was explaining to me about how him and his missus have been going through a thing. Some years ago, he decided that he wanted to try something different. But when he did it, of course, he never had the conversation with his missus, and he got caught up in that thing over there, and then he started splitting his energy, splitting his time. That went on for a while. The missus found out, whole thing got torn down, and he had to let it go, so they, quote-unquote, went on. So here lately, the missus has been bringing these things up. And he's explaining to me about how every time he tries to explain to her what happened, she gets angry and, just over the top angry. And it befuddled me that he didn't see it. And what he didn't see was she has a right to be that kind of angry. She has a right to be angry like that because he violated the trust between him and her. Now, as a friend, because he is my friend, I let him go on and rant and rave about how unfair she was, about how she is still dragging him and dogging him. It's been over 5 years and they still have to go through all of this. And I said, well, when she gets upset, and then what do you do? He says, I'm trying to explain it to her and she don't want to listen to me. And what made him think that she really wanted to hear anything he said? My advice to him was this: shut up and let her finish. Let her get all of that pain out. Let her have that room to call him every dirty name that she feels that she has to call him to get it out. Because that's pain. And that's all that is. It's pain. It's hurt. It's disappointment. So you have to give him the opportunity to let that out. Fellas, I'm speaking specifically to you. And ladies, you know what? Let me not be that shallow. Because there have been ladies who have violated in that way as well. So if you are the perpetrator, then it is your job to sit down and allow your mate to tell you what you did to them. Because it is what you did. Now, granted, you can't make somebody feel some type of way. But your actions can inspire those feelings in another person. So, and ladies, please, as always, I am looking for as much information to get as I give. If you agree, please say something. If you don't, let me know. If you have the opportunity to speak what you feel, I mean, just get it out to the point where there's just nothing left for you to say. And that person just sits there and just listens, accepts it. I'm not saying they just sit there like, you done? You done? No, but I mean they sit there and they really listen to you. They take it in to understand that this is something that they are the source for. Would you feel better would you be able to listen to an apology after that? And because I'm very guilty of it, well, not anymore, but at another time in my life, I was very guilty of it, that I was always going to force you to see what I had to say. You had to know what I meant. And if you didn't want to hear me, then I was offended because you didn't want to hear me explain why I hurt you. Saying it out loud, it even sounds stupid. But understanding, when you don't know better, you just don't know better. My influences, the people who inspired me, none of them were as universally understood loving people. You know, I didn't watch the people around me holding hands and hugging and kissing and things like that. So because I never got to see that, I didn't understand that way of thinking. So I didn't get how me making a choice for myself, I just want to sleep with somebody else. I'm not saying I'm putting you out the bed so I can sleep with her, but I just want to sleep with somebody else. What's wrong with that? Because I never understood the connection for a female, and it's biology. Please, fellas, stop thinking that it's just the way they think. It is not the way they think, it's the way they are. It's biology. For the average female, sex and love are together. For the average male, sex and love are two completely different things. It's biology. So, to us, it's not that big of a deal, but to them it is a big deal. And if they are a big deal to you, then that means you have to do your level best to try to connect to them. At least that's the way it makes sense to me. I try to speak from experience. And my experience is not always positive. I have done some dog wrong stuff in my life. And I am more than willing to stand up and take full responsibility for it. I have apologized to everybody I feel I owe an apology to. And if I haven't apologized to you, I don't feel you deserve it. And you're probably not a part of my life anymore anyway. So let's move past that part. If you're going to make amends to your mate, gentlemen, I'm sure there are more than enough of you right now who are sitting there, you're watching this and you're saying, I wonder how I can get my girl to forgive me to the point where we can have this type of relationship. Well, that's not going to be easy. But the best thing for you to do is to put your relationship back in working order. One of the things that I noticed a common thread in the lives that I was watching yesterday on Black Poly Nation was about making sure that your relationship, your core relationship, is what it's supposed to be. Don't keep trying to add folks into your mess. Bring them into something that's functioning, something that's proper, something that works. The best thing to do is invest that time and that energy into your core relationship. This is my core relationship. We have orbiting relationships around this relationship. But for each of us at this stage in our lives, this is our core relationship. So this is where our investment is. We have varied interests in other people, and we have very deep and very real feelings for a lot of those people. But we cannot allow at this stage. Yeah, it's fair for me to say it. It's not. It wouldn't be fair to us to allow an outside interest to negatively impact us. Mm-hmm. That means you're making a direct, selfish decision. And you have to ask yourself, is the decision I'm making worth the relationship that I'm holding on to? And in every case, I think that's a fair question to ask. Yeah, I know I just got sidetracked again. because my brain is working at 1,000 right now. I was having a very, very intellectually stimulating conversation with Tawn earlier today. Please don't nobody else call her Tawn unless you know her personally, because yeah, that's a problem. But I was having a very stimulating conversation with LaTanya earlier, just before we came on air, and yeah, I'm over here and I'm really working through some things, but I definitely want to get on the platform that we had put together for tonight. We got anything going on over here? I'm sorry, I have not checked in with nobody. Hi, folks. I'm so sorry. I'm in the zone right now. I'm so glad to be here, and I'm happy to see some folks checking in with us. All right, we don't got nothing. So let me get to some of these notes here, because I did actually take some notes that I wanted to get to. Let me get my spectacles. Y'all know how I go. All right, here we go. Well, actually, that's two different things. Okay, all right. For the beginners, because I understand that there are a lot of people who are just now entertaining the idea of entering polydynamic. And for the beginners, here's an exercise that I want you to have. Before y'all go ahead and bust your back putting profiles together and jumping on social media talking about y'all looking for y'all third, y'all queen, y'all finishing piece, all of that, have a hypothetical conversation. Have a bunch of hypothetical conversations about different scenarios that either of you would find problematic. Mm-hmm. And how would you deal with it? Now, if you can't find a way through a hypothetical conversation, then you have to understand that you are not mentally prepared for hands-on. So keep your hands off until you can get your head together. And all of it starts in you. Each person has a responsibility in whatever your dynamic is. And if you take the lion's share of the responsibility, where it's nobody else's fault something went wrong, it's not because of what somebody else did that things didn't work out. You take the lion's share of the responsibility to say to yourself, I want this relationship, so I am responsible for this relationship. What the next person does, I hope they hold their end up, but I'm going to hold mine up. If you find yourself in that position and you're doing everything you're supposed to do, and you can't have that type of conversation where you can sit down and say, okay, let's just say for the sake of this conversation, you go to work, you come home, and me and our new girlfriend, we're in bed together. How would you feel about that? If y'all can't have a real conversation about that, you're not ready. You have to emotionally and mentally center yourself for this, because it is a constant balancing act, and you have got to be flexible enough to balance. You are saying that you want this, but how prepared are you to really deal with two people's energies all the time, every day, no matter what?
Day in, day out.
Are you prepared? Really? Now, if your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, whoever is getting on your nerves right now, what do you think is going to happen when another person shows up? I don't think people take enough stock in their own emotional stability when considering getting into not only this type of relationship, but any relationship. Again, talking to LaTanya earlier, she gave me a story from her past, and it's just like, wow. I wonder what that person was going through that got them in that state that they showed themselves to you like that. It wasn't nothing perverted or provocative, nothing like that. But it was somebody just with a horrible lapse of judgment. Horrible lapse of judgment. So, but again, it makes me understand that we're all dealing with things. We're all dealing with things. And I'm sorry, like I said, I'm working on both sides of my brain right now. What I already know and what I'm working with, and what I'm trying to work through. All right, somebody give me something else to talk about.
Ronald Isaac says, I need a mentor because a poly relationship is what I want.
Well, Ronald Isaac, thank you for checking in with us, brother. For as much as I would love to call myself a mentor, I'm just a guy that screwed up enough that I made a lot of mistakes that the average guy is making right now. I'll say this. Check in with some of our other lives. There's a lot of information there, and I'm sure that to at least some degree we've covered a lot of the beginning things. We're still... Oh, yeah. Books. Some literature that you guys can really get into. The Ethical Slut and The Smart Girl's Guide to Polyamory. These are two books that I personally have invested some really, really deep time into. Again, side note, I've been involved in poly relationships 20 plus. So when I finally sat down to read these books, for me, they confirmed some things, they cleared some things up. So my practice has obviously been running basically parallel with the information that the other, well, I can't say other, but the experts are giving. So I recommend them with absolute faith. Check them out. They're both really, really good reads, easy reads, clear, concise language. So you don't have to decipher too much. It's right there in real plain English. But yeah, like I said, check out some of the lives that we've done previously, and hopefully it helps. Thank you. All right, none there. Okay, I'm going.
Everybody saying hello.
Hello, everybody. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody.
Okay. How do you handle jealousy and favoritism?
Okay, we have touched on this before. Jealousy is a natural emotion. There's pretty much nothing you can do about jealousy except how you handle it. Because if you don't allow jealousy to become this overwhelming thing, jealousy is more than manageable.
Mm-hmm. You gotta let it bounce off of you.
Yeah, because understand that moment right there, because that's what you usually get jealous of. You get jealous of a moment because that moment looks so beautiful, looks so perfect. That moment right there can never outshine the time that you've already invested. So I'm constantly reminding myself of that. So that's how I personally deal with jealousy. And as far as favoritism goes, when you're exchanging love like that, you don't have a favorite. You have, of course, there's certain things that you'll love more over here than you do over there, because that's why you do have the variety. But it is not a favorite. So,
right, it's just a different part of love. Just as strong. Christina says, I have a woman I'm in love with, but we don't have a male partner. She's with someone, I'm with someone, but we want to be together with one man.
And I would imagine that neither partner that you guys are with away from each other is a viable candidate.
I would suggest finding them together.
Yeah.
Because of somebody you're both attracted to, somebody you're both mentally stimulated by.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I would advise you guys start to openly date. And I think it's fair. even with poly people, we kind of tend to reconnect to monogamous thought processes. We start dating somebody new, and then it's like, okay, I'm never gonna date nobody else. You just kind of kicked your own.
From Ashley L. S.
Oh.
They're watching us on the big screen.
Oh, word. Okay. What I was saying right there?
You were talking about them finding together.
You were saying poly people.
Right. They reconnect to that monogamous process of, okay, I